Have you ever been told no? That dreaded rejection that feels like the world is crumbling around you, as if nothing exists beyond that closed door. Does it sound familiar? Let me reveal a secret. That no is nothing more than an opportunity in disguise. All you need is to learn how to see it from a different perspective. At the Wisdom of the Ages, we're dedicated to providing content that inspires and motivates you to turn challenges into opportunities. Stoic philosophy makes it clear, while we can't control what happens to us, we can always choose how we respond. And this is where reverse psychology comes into play. What if, instead of giving up, you use that no as fuel to propel your life forward? By learning to handle rejection with wisdom, you'll discover that the road to success is paved with doors that open precisely when we stop chasing them desperately. Are you ready to transform rejection into the opportunity you've been searching for? Then pay close attention to the 10 invaluable lessons I'm about to share. Each one will teach you how to make rejection your greatest ally. Don't miss the final lesson, it's bound to leave you speechless. But before diving into these lessons, let me share a story that perfectly captures the wisdom behind this concept. In a small coastal village lived a young man named Mark, known for his extraordinary talent for painting. Since childhood, he dreamed of showcasing his work in a prestigious art gallery. However, every time he tried, rejection letters piled up. Doors kept closing, and Mark began to doubt his abilities. One day, after receiving yet another rejection, he decided to take a walk along the shore to clear his mind. As he strolled, he encountered an old sailor, renowned in the village for his vast experience navigating the world's oceans. The sailor, noticing the sadness in Mark's eyes, asked what was troubling him. Mark explained how the constant rejections had extinguished his enthusiasm and left him questioning whether he should continue pursuing his dream. The wise sailor smiled and pointed toward the horizon. Do you know how sailors face the wind when it blows against them? They don't fight it. Instead, they use its direction to chart a different course. The wind doesn't change, but their approach does. Intrigued, Mark asked how this applied to his situation. The sailor replied, "Your talent doesn't lie in the doors that don't open but in how you use those rejections to grow. Every no is an opportunity to improve, refine your art, and find a new path. If you keep fighting against rejection, you'll remain stuck. But if you harness it like the wind, it will carry you toward new opportunities." For days, Mark reflected on the sailor's words. Instead of giving up, he doubled down on his efforts. Each rejection became less of a barrier and more of a stepping stone toward new goals. A lesson in every rejection. Every criticism is a tool for growth. Mark began experimenting with new styles and exploring different techniques. Over time, his paintings gained a depth and originality they had previously lacked. Eventually, he decided to organize his own exhibition in the village. This time, there were no rejections. Crowds came to admire his art, and among them was a renowned art curator who showed great interest in his work. Mark smiled, not just because of his success but because he had learned to transform rejection into fuel for personal growth. As the wise sailor had said, Mark had found a way to sail toward his destination, using the winds of rejection to propel him forward. The moral of this story is clear: rejection doesn't mark the end of the road. If we learn to harness it, it can become the force that drives us toward new opportunities and helps us find our true direction. At the Wisdom of the Ages, we believe in the power of stories and reflections to help you turn challenges into lessons. If this message resonates with you, keep reading and consider subscribing to our channel. Before we continue, if you find this type of content helpful, I invite you to subscribe to this channel and activate notifications. Stay up to date with our latest insights. Let's dive in. 1. The power of no. Have you ever felt like a no was the end of the world? That rejection pulled you down, leaving you with no options? Let me tell you something, you're wrong. A no isn't a wall blocking your way, it's a bridge to new opportunities. While it may sting at first, rejection can be the push that propels you towards something much better, even if you can't see it in the moment. We all love hearing yes. It makes us feel valued, accepted, and capable. But the truth is, a no can often be more valuable in the long run than a yes. Instead of viewing rejection as a failure, consider it a disguised opportunity. Stoic philosophy teaches us that while we can't control everything that happens, we can always decide how to react. So why not view rejection as a chance to grow? Let's take an example. Imagine you're turned down for a job you desperately wanted. It's easy to feel disheartened, right? But what if that no is the push you need to discover something even better, or uncover a hidden passion? Sometimes, rejection leads us to paths we never would have considered. Without that no, you might have stayed stuck where you were, never seeking more. How to harness rejection? This is where reverse psychology comes into play. This isn't just a simple trick, it's a mindset shift to understand that things aren't always as they seem. Imagine someone offers you something you initially don't want. Instead of dismissing it outright, pause for a moment. Think, what if this is the opportunity I've been waiting for? Shifting your perspective can open doors you never would have noticed. Reverse psychology isn't just about acting contrary to your instincts to get what you want. It's about training your mind to see rejection not as a roadblock but as a challenge that invites you to think differently. Instead of dwelling on disappointment, ask yourself, what can I learn from this rejection? How can I use it to my advantage? These questions will help you turn setbacks into opportunities. Change as a constant. The only constant in life is change. If you learn to view rejection as a force for positive change, you can turn any situation to your advantage. The next time you hear a no, instead of feeling defeated, take a deep breath and reflect. That rejection could be the beginning of something entirely new. With the right mindset, you'll be ready to seize fresh opportunities. As the Stoics teach, what matters most isn't what happens but how you respond to it. Rejection isn't the end, it's a new beginning. Rejection, a sign of something better. It's not about what happens to you but how you choose to respond. Rejection is merely part of life's game, and if you learn to play it well, it can unlock doors you never even knew existed. As Seneca once said, rejection doesn't mark the end of your path, it's a sign that something better is waiting for you. 2. Turn the situation in your favor. Have you ever thought about seeking rejection? It sounds strange, doesn't it? Who would want that? But what if I told you that rejection, something we often fear, can be your greatest ally? Yes, you heard that right. Today, let's talk about reverse psychology, a technique that doesn't resist the current but flows with it, turning situations to your advantage. Who said rejection is always negative? Perhaps it's just an opportunity in disguise, waiting to be discovered. Reverse psychology is the art of reshaping the perception of a situation, making it appear opposite to what it seems. It's like a game of chess but with the mind. Rather than attacking directly, you anticipate your opponent's moves and use their expectations to your advantage. Imagine a situation where your idea or proposal gets rejected. Instead of reacting with frustration, smile and say, "That's okay, maybe it wasn't the right fit for now." By responding to rejection with indifference, you strip it of its power over you. Here's the fascinating part. This unexpected reaction might make the other person reconsider their decision. Why? Because they didn't expect that response, and your lack of resistance creates a ripple effect of doubt. It's like throwing a stone into calm water, the resulting waves challenge the initial stillness. The Stoics taught us that while we can't control what happens around us, we can choose how to respond. Applied to reverse psychology, this means the way you handle rejection can shape the outcome. If you respond with calmness, even humor, the rejection loses its sting, and you regain control. Rejection as a tool for growth. But be careful, this doesn't mean you should accept everything just to contradict. It's not about being rebellious for rebellion's sake but about approaching adversity with intelligence. The key is to use the moment to your advantage. This isn't about manipulating others, it's about transforming your own perception. By shifting your perspective and responding thoughtfully, rejection can become a tool for growth and a stepping stone toward new opportunities. Instead of fearing it, embrace it as a natural part of life's journey. A useful strategy: rewrite your internal narrative. When faced with rejection, instead of thinking, "I'm not enough," try asking yourself, "What can I learn from this?" Every rejection holds a potential lesson, not a sentence of failure. Reverse psychology teaches you to take what appears negative and turn it into a productive tool. It's like stumbling over a stone and using it to build something greater. Reverse psychology isn't just a mental trick, It's a powerful tool for turning adversity into an advantage. By embracing rejection as an opportunity, you strengthen yourself without waiting for the world to change for you. Your attitude and perspective are what ultimately shape the story you tell yourself. The power of your reaction. If the Stoics taught us anything, it's that true power doesn't lie in what happens but in how we react. So, the next time rejection knocks on your door, instead of letting it weigh you down, use it as a springboard to something better. As Carl Jung wisely said, what is denied to you today might be the seed of your success tomorrow. 3. Redefine failure. Have you ever felt defeated by a no, left disheartened and hopeless? What if failure isn't the end but simply a necessary stage on the path to success? That uncomfortable no, that changes everything. Have you ever experienced that awkward silence after sharing an idea, as though the whole room is staring at you with a silent, "What did you just say?" The key isn't to sink into the couch with a bag of chips, though, let's admit, that feels good for a moment, but to turn the situation around. Rejection, that old acquaintance who always shows up at the least expected times, can actually be far more useful than you think. What if I told you the secret lies in using rejection as a tool for growth? This doesn't mean life pats you on the back and says, "You're on the right track." No, I'm talking about those uncomfortable moments when someone says, "Your idea doesn't fit," or even, "You're not what we're looking for." It's easy to feel like your world is crumbling in those moments. But here's the truth, rejection isn't the end of the world. It's simply a disguised opportunity. Yes, you might think, this sounds like cheap psychology, but once you learn to view rejection as a chance to grow, everything changes. The Stoics and the art of handling the inevitable. Consider this. The Stoics, those ancient sages, never expected life to always hand them what they wanted. They understood that many things, including rejection, are beyond our control. What we can control is how we respond. When rejection strikes, instead of letting it crush you, why not use it as an opportunity to grow? That's pure reverse psychology at work. By adopting this mindset, rejection stops being a barrier and becomes a stepping stone, teaching resilience and paving the way for personal and professional growth. Turn rejection into your ally. It's like when someone says, "You're not good enough for this." Instead of giving up, ask yourself, "What can I learn from this?" Rejection can act as a mirror, reflecting areas for improvement or highlighting aspects you hadn't noticed before. It's an invitation to grow. So, the next time you're rejected, don't think, "I've failed." Instead, shift your narrative to, "What adjustments can I make to do better next time?" And there you have it, you've turned rejection into your ally. The key lies in your attitude. You might be thinking, "This sounds great in theory, but how do I actually do it?" The answer is simple, it's all about your attitude. Don't take rejection personally. Remember, you are not your ideas, your work, or your dreams. A no doesn't define you. It simply signals something you might need to adjust. Think of it like tuning an instrument. Sometimes, a few small tweaks are all it takes to make it sound harmonious. Rejection is essentially the same. If you can learn to see it this way, you won't just survive the no's, you'll use them to your advantage. Stoic philosophy teaches us to accept what we can't control and focus on improving what we can. So, the next time you face rejection, don't wallow in self-pity. Remember, it's just an opportunity to improve. And if you're wise enough, you'll realize that rejection isn't a roadblock, it's a stepping stone toward success. As a true Stoic would say, life isn't measured by the rejections we face but by how we rise after them. 4. Shift your perspective on rejection. Have you ever felt like rejection was the end of the world? Like everything around you was collapsing, and for a moment, you wanted to hide under a rock? It's understandable. Hearing you're not enough or you didn't meet expectations is never easy. But here's the twist, what you perceive as failure might actually be your passport to something much greater. It all depends on how you see it. Great thinkers, like the Stoics, taught us that our perspective has the power to turn any negative experience into an opportunity for growth. The value of trying. First, let's recognize something. Rejection is proof that you tried. If you've been rejected, it means you took the leap, dove into the unknown, and faced the challenge. That alone is an achievement worth celebrating. Rejection, the first step toward something better. Yes, daring to try is commendable. Yet, the human mind often fixates on the negative, framing rejection as a marker of failure. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Rejection is, in fact, the first step toward learning something new, adapting, and improving. So, how can you transform the sting of rejection into something positive? This is where reverse psychology comes into play. Instead of viewing rejection as an insurmountable barrier, why not see it as an invitation to improve? The next time someone says no, resist the urge to despair and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? This simple shift in mindset is the first step toward turning rejection into opportunity. What seems like an obstacle is, in reality, a gateway to a new beginning, a stronger, better version of yourself. Strategic self-compassion. Be your own ally. One practical technique you can start using today is strategic self-compassion. While it may sound unusual, at its core, it simply means being kind to yourself. Accept that life isn't always smooth sailing and that criticism or rejection is an inevitable part of the journey. But instead of letting the pain overwhelm you, do yourself a favor, take a step back and reflect. Ask yourself, what went wrong? What can I improve? This approach isn't about indulging in destructive self-criticism. On the contrary, it's about learning without damaging your self-esteem. Remember, as the Stoics taught, control lies within your mind, not in external events. If you can master your reaction to rejection, you've already won. Reframe the narrative. Another powerful strategy is reframing the situation. What does this mean? Instead of viewing rejection as a definitive end, see it as a not yet. Rejection doesn't have to mean the door is closed forever. Sometimes, it simply signals that the timing isn't right or that your approach needs refinement. Shift the narrative in your mind, find ways to improve and turn it into an opportunity for growth. Surround yourself with people who lift you up. When you're feeling down, seek out people who offer perspective. Not those who always say yes and confirm your ideas without question, but those who challenge you to think beyond the moment. These individuals can help you realize that rejection isn't the end of your story, it's merely a chapter. Rejection is undeniably painful, but it's also one of the most effective ways to learn and grow. Changing your perspective, adapting, and channeling that energy into improvement are the keys to transforming a no into an opportunity. In the end, it's not about how many times you're rejected but how many times you rise and move forward. A springboard to success. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted in Meditations, rejection is merely a springboard for growth. If you fall, remember that you can always rise higher. 5. Embrace rejection. Have you ever felt like a door was slammed in your face at the worst possible moment? If so, welcome to the club. Rejection is neither new nor unique to you. While it may sound harsh, it's an essential part of the road to success. We've been conditioned to believe that rejection is the end of the world. But in reality, it's merely a starting point. Yes, I know what you're thinking. How am I supposed to see this as a positive thing? Well, stick with me for a moment, and I'll show you how rejection can become your greatest ally. By redefining rejection as a stepping stone rather than a barrier, you open yourself to possibilities you might have otherwise missed. It's all about mindset and the choice to see obstacles as opportunities for growth. Let's delve deeper into how embracing rejection can lead to transformation. Pain as a teacher. Let's start by acknowledging an uncomfortable truth: rejection hurts. There's no avoiding it, and sometimes it can make you question everything you've done and even who you are. But what if, instead of seeing rejection as a roadblock, you viewed it as a sign that you're on the right path? The Stoics, those wise philosophers of ancient Greece, taught that everything comes down to perspective. They believed we can't control what happens to us, but we can always choose how we respond. This principle becomes especially powerful when applied to rejection. Rejection as a tool for growth. Think of rejection not as a barrier but as a compass guiding you toward improvement. It's what happens when expectations don't align with reality. Imagine jumping into a pool without knowing how to swim. At first, you struggle to stay afloat, it's overwhelming. But over time, you learn to tread water, and before you know it, you're swimming effortlessly. Rejection works the same way. At first, it's suffocating, making you doubt yourself. But if you take a step back and analyze it, you'll realize it's just another step on the path to growth. Here's where reverse psychology comes in, a powerful tool to shift your perspective. Have you noticed how the things you chase most desperately often seem to slip away? What if, instead of chasing success as if it were a train pulling out of the station, you let go and allowed it to come to you when the time is right? Rejection has a unique ability. It pushes you away from what isn't right for you, refocusing your energy on what truly matters. Be a detective of rejection. Approach rejection like a detective investigating a mystery. Ask yourself, why did this happen? What can I learn from it? Was it something within my control, or was it just part of the process? This method puts you in charge of the situation instead of letting frustration take the wheel. Shift your mindset from "I can't handle this" to "What can I learn from this?" and you'll unlock a world of possibilities. The next time rejection comes your way, don't see it as a defeat. Treat it as a signal to reflect, learn, and move forward. Rejection isn't the end of the world, it's a door closing to make way for another to open. Accepting rejection is part of the journey. It's not an obstacle but a hidden opportunity. The Stoics and the art of acceptance. The Stoics understood that life isn't always smooth. But that doesn't mean you should stop living. Rejection carries a simple message: there's something better for you, even if you can't see it yet. So, when rejection knocks on your door, smile, analyze it, and move forward. What you're truly meant for may be just on the other side. Rejection, like a wise teacher in disguise, pushes us to grow and be better. 6. Break the rules. The power of the unexpected. Have you ever noticed that the harder you chase something, the more it seems to slip away? Whether it's a job opportunity, a relationship, or a personal goal, it's as if life whispers, "Do you really want this? Then let me push it further out of reach." This cycle can be exhausting, but there's a way to break free. Embrace the principles of reverse psychology. Instead of pursuing what you want relentlessly, consider stepping back and doing the unexpected. By letting go of the pressure you place on yourself, you might just find that what you desire naturally gravitates toward you. Let's dive deeper into how this subtle yet powerful shift can change your approach to life. Reverse psychology, turning rejection into opportunity. Reverse psychology is a simple yet powerful mental strategy where you choose not to act as expected. Imagine you're in a business meeting, presenting a new idea. Instead of trying desperately to persuade everyone with data and arguments, you say, "I know this might not appeal to everyone, but here's my idea." What happens next? Suddenly, people are intrigued and more inclined to listen. By not seeking approval outright, you spark curiosity. When you don't push your idea aggressively, others become more open to considering it. This subtle shift not only changes the dynamics of the conversation but also gives you a strategic advantage. The desire hidden behind rejection. Rejection, which often feels like an impenetrable wall, can actually open doors to new opportunities. Using rejection to attract what you want isn't magic, it's psychology. The key lies in not chasing approval desperately, which is where reverse psychology shines. If you try to manipulate someone directly, not only will they notice, but rejection becomes even more likely. However, if you step back and allow rejection to feel natural, interest often arises organically. This isn't just a social trick, it's a way to appear more genuine, engaging, and authentic. Picture this: you want someone to engage with your idea. Instead of pressing them, you might say, "This might not interest you," but just in case, suddenly, they're drawn in, feeling as though they might miss out on something valuable. In both social and professional settings, this strategy creates a sense of intrigue and puts you in control. The Stoic connection. People are often drawn to what seems elusive or something they feel they must earn. This is where Stoic philosophy intersects with reverse psychology. The Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we cannot. While you can't force others to act as you want, you can influence how they perceive things. Reverse psychology isn't magic, though it might feel that way at times. It works by subtly shaping others' perceptions without directly controlling their decisions. It encourages you to use rejection as a tool rather than an obstacle. However, like any effective technique, it should be used sparingly and with integrity. This isn't about deceit but about understanding that social rules are often more flexible than they appear. Ultimately, if you want to be persuasive, authentic, and leave a lasting impression, remember this: not everything that glitters is gold. Sometimes, what you chase intensely slips away, while what you let go of ends up claiming your attention. As Abraham Maslow aptly said, the greatest persuasion comes from what is not offered directly. Let rejection become your ally, a stepping stone rather than a setback. Play strategically, and you might find that what once seemed unreachable is now within your grasp. Rejection in relationships. We've all been there. You put your heart into connecting with someone, whether in friendship, a romantic relationship, or at work, and suddenly, bam! Rejection. It stings, no doubt about it. But here's a little secret. If you know how to use that rejection to your advantage, it can become a key to improving your relationships and, in the process, fostering personal growth. No, this doesn't mean becoming a masochist or enjoying pain. But if you approach rejection with the right mindset, you can turn it into a golden opportunity. The Stoics would applaud you for such resilience. Rejection, not the end, but a test. Rejection has an unfair reputation. We've been conditioned to see it as negative, almost as if it's the end of the world. In reality, rejection is just a test, a challenge life throws at you to see how you'll respond. As the Stoics taught, it's not the events that affect us but how we interpret them. Accept rejection as part of the game. First, accept that rejection is inevitable. You can't go through life expecting everyone to like you. Not only is that unrealistic, but it's also exhausting. People carry their own fears, insecurities, and struggles. Often, what you perceive as rejection has more to do with the other person's state of mind than with you. This doesn't make you less valuable or flawed. Instead, you can use rejection as a tool for growth. Think of it as a guide, showing you where you might refine your approach or deepen your understanding of yourself. Rejection, a tough but effective teacher. Rejection can be harsh feedback, but it's also invaluable. It highlights areas for improvement with clarity. This is where reverse psychology comes into play. Why not use rejection to your advantage? If someone rejects you, don't obsess over it. Take a step back and shift your focus. Stop pushing and start creating space. It's ironic, but often the harder you try to win someone over, the more they pull away. By stepping back and letting things flow naturally, you might find that person viewing you in a new, more favorable light. This phenomenon occurs because when you stop chasing something, you often make room for it to come to you. Additionally, rejection offers something priceless: self-awareness. Ask yourself, why does this affect me so deeply? Is it my wounded ego, or do I genuinely care about this person? Listen to your emotions and, most importantly, learn to manage them. As a good Stoic might ask, what can I control here? How can I improve so that next time, rejection won't define me, but how I handle it will? Turning rejection into growth. Rejection doesn't have to be an unscalable wall. If you view it as an opportunity to grow, learn, and improve your interactions, you'll emerge stronger and wiser. Personal relationships aren't easy, but every rejection is a chance in disguise. The next time you face rejection, pause, reflect, and decide how to channel that energy. Ultimately, it's not about what others think of you, it's about how you handle what happens to you. If you approach it with the right mindset, the person who rejects you today might be your biggest supporter tomorrow. As Freud once said, rejection is simply a chance to redirect your efforts towards something better. Turning resistance into motivation. Have you ever felt held back by rejection, a dismissive look, or someone's lack of belief in you? It's a universal experience, one we all encounter at some point. But what if I told you that this resistance, those no's you hear, could become the ultimate fuel for your motivation? First, let's be honest, not everyone will cheer for your success. Some people simply don't understand your vision, others may see it as a threat, and many feel uneasy watching you take risks they wouldn't dare to face themselves. The resistance you encounter is often less about you and more about their own limitations and fears. So why let their doubts define you? Instead, why not use that negativity as your driving force? Think about it. Have you ever seen a marathon runner stop mid-race because someone shouted, "You'll never make it"? Of course not. If anything, such words only ignite their determination to prove otherwise. That's the mindset you need to embrace. The next time someone tells you that your goals are out of reach, don't let it bring you down. Instead, visualize their resistance as an extra push propelling you forward. Each no you hear isn't a roadblock, it's a stepping stone bringing you closer to your goals. As the Stoics wisely taught, we can't control others' opinions, but we can control how we react to them. If someone doubts your capabilities, see it not as a barrier but as a challenge to rise above. Every rejection is a fresh reason to push harder. Leverage reverse psychology. This is where reverse psychology becomes a powerful ally. Instead of letting criticism discourage you, turn it into your greatest motivator. When someone says, "You're not capable of doing that," let it fuel your inner fire to prove them wrong. Think of it as an internal switch. Their doubt activates your determination. Resistance, rejection, and doubt don't have to derail your progress. Instead, treat them as reminders of how far you can go. Every critique can serve as a spark that keeps you moving forward. True strength isn't about avoiding resistance, it's about using it to your advantage. Harnessing the power of inner motivation. When someone says, "You can't do it," let your response be, "Watch me." This simple yet powerful shift in perspective can change everything. Sometimes, all it takes is a little resistance to push you to reach your full potential. Find motivation within yourself. Beyond proving yourself to others, the real challenge lies in discovering your internal motivation. Here's the secret: don't rely on external validation. As the Stoics taught, true peace comes from inner strength, not from what others think of you. Your worth isn't defined by external acceptance but by your conviction and belief in yourself. If you focus on what truly matters to you, rejection becomes nothing more than a fleeting moment in your journey toward success. Every criticism can be viewed as a disguised lesson. Instead of seeing rejection as a wall, treat it as an opportunity to refine and improve. If someone doubts your idea, take it as a cue to perfect it further. Sometimes, a no simply means you haven't yet found the right way to communicate your message. Instead of giving up, make the necessary adjustments and move forward with renewed determination. The next time rejection or criticism feels overwhelming, remember, it's not the end. It's the beginning of something bigger. Turn that resistance into your driving force, and let every no become an invitation to prove what you're truly capable of. The Stoics understood this perfectly. We can't control what happens around us, but we can control how we respond to it. When you master the art of turning adversity into motivation, nothing and no one can hold you back. As my late father used to say, what others see as an obstacle, you can transform into an opportunity to grow. The art of persuasion. Have you ever felt like you're hitting a wall when trying to achieve something? That no matter how hard you push, the no seems immovable? What if I told you that wall isn't a limit but a springboard? This is where reverse psychology comes into play, a highly effective strategy that turns rejection into a perfect opportunity to achieve what you desire. Before you think of it as manipulation, let me explain. Reverse psychology is a technique where, instead of directly insisting on what you want, you suggest the opposite. It's a mental shift, a clever perspective change that encourages the other person to act contrary to their initial intentions. Imagine you need a favor from someone, but you suspect asking outright will yield a no. Instead, you might say, "Don't worry, I know you probably can't do it, so I'll handle it myself." What happens next? That person, feeling an unspoken challenge, might step in to prove otherwise. It's a fascinating psychological phenomenon. By assuming their refusal, you give them a chance to reaffirm their capability. Rejection as a hidden invitation. This approach isn't limited to small requests. It's a powerful tool that can be applied across various aspects of life. The Stoics, known for their emphasis on self-control and accepting the inevitable, offer wisdom here. Obstacles aren't barriers, they are opportunities to grow. Reverse psychology aligns with this philosophy by encouraging you to approach rejection not as a defeat but as a chance to pivot, adapt, and ultimately succeed. Whether in personal relationships, professional settings, or creative pursuits, this strategy invites you to view setbacks as disguised invitations to push forward with ingenuity and resilience. Reverse psychology, turning no into a hidden yes. Reverse psychology takes the simple idea of rethinking rejection and elevates it. When faced with a no, the goal is not to resist it but to reframe the situation so that no becomes a disguised yes. This isn't about manipulation, It's about shifting perspectives to create opportunities where rejection seems final. Next time you encounter rejection, resist the urge to fight it head-on. Instead, approach it with a different perspective. By using reverse psychology, you can transform resistance into an opening. Over time, you'll see that no often leads to the clearest path toward yes. The art of turning rejection into acceptance. Picture this: you're seeking a raise at work, but you suspect your boss will decline outright if you ask directly. Instead of pushing, you might say something like, "I know times are tough, so a raise might not be possible, and I completely understand." By removing the immediate pressure, your boss may feel more inclined to explore alternatives, perhaps even offering a smaller benefit or starting a conversation about future opportunities. Now, imagine being a parent with a child reluctant to study. Instead of commanding, "You need to study now," you could try, "I get that you don't feel like studying right now. If you want to get to it later, I'll be here to help." This subtle shift in tone reduces the sense of obligation, often leading the child to study independently. Or think about that friend who always declines invitations to go out. Rather than insisting, you could say, "I bet you'd rather stay in tonight. Sometimes a quiet evening at home is all we need." The implied acceptance of their preference might just prompt them to join you, eager to show they aren't as predictable as you assume. Rejection as a catalyst for change. Sometimes, all rejection needs is a gentle nudge to morph into acceptance. Reverse psychology helps you harness resistance as a tool to steer situations in your favor. The key lies in understanding that people are more likely to respond positively when they feel they retain control over their decisions. This isn't about deceit, it's about influencing wisely. Think of it as navigating turbulent waters. Instead of fighting the current, learn to use its force to your advantage. Every no might seem like a closed door, but it could also point to an open window nearby. When rejection hits, remember the wisdom of Stoic philosophy: accept what you cannot change and skillfully influence what you can. The next time life hands you a no, take a step back and search for the yes hidden within. By shifting your approach, you can turn obstacles into opportunities and resistance into your strongest ally. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by a wave of insecurity just because someone told you no? That sinking feeling, as if everything you've worked for is falling apart, can be paralyzing. But here's the truth: that fear of rejection, that trembling hesitation when trying something new, is as natural as breathing. The key lies in understanding how to use this fear to propel your life forward. Rejection isn't your enemy, it's your ally, if you know how to perceive it. It's easy to take a no personally, interpreting it as a dismissal of your worth. But pause for a moment. Do you really believe a single negative word defines who you are? The fear of rejection is deeply ingrained in human nature, but it doesn't have to control you. If someone says no, so what? The Stoics emphasized focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you can't. External opinions, no matter how harsh, don't determine your inner well-being. Rejection is a response, not a verdict. It's just a word. What truly matters is how you interpret it. You can view it as a failure or as a stepping stone toward success. The difference lies in your reaction. That's where reverse psychology comes into play. Instead of avoiding rejection, embrace it as part of the journey. The unexpected truth? Rejection, far from holding you back, can push you to become better. It's like deciding to dance in the rain instead of running for cover. Sure, your feet might get wet, but soon you'll realize every drop is an opportunity to grow. To handle rejection wisely, start by not taking it personally. See it as constructive feedback, even if it's difficult to hear. Understand that rejection doesn't diminish your value, it's merely someone else's response. And their response is just that, a reaction, not a judgment. Next, apply reverse psychology. Don't shy away from situations where rejection is a possibility. Instead, approach them with a fresh mindset. Turn rejection into a tool that works in your favor. For instance, if you're in a job interview and sense that you're being dismissed, don't panic. Instead, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Use rejection as a way to refine your approach and identify areas for improvement. Every no is an opportunity to assess your strengths and address your weaknesses. The secret is to embrace rejection as a force that makes you stronger and bolder. Behind every significant achievement lies a history of countless rejections. Consider the world's most successful entrepreneurs or renowned artists. Before reaching greatness, they faced numerous setbacks and refusals. Rejection is not the end of the road. It's a tool, a guide, and sometimes, the exact push you need to reach the next level. When you stop fearing rejection and start using it, you'll find it can propel you toward growth and resilience. Don't get stuck on a no, keep moving forward, learning, and using every rejection as a springboard toward the next yes. Life is never a straightforward journey, and the fear of rejection will always loom in the background. However, you have the power to turn that fear into something positive. When you begin to view rejection as a tool for improvement rather than a threat, you shift your perspective, and with it, your life. The Stoics and the power of response. The Stoics taught us that the only thing we truly control is how we react to what happens. So, the next time you face rejection, don't let fear overwhelm you. Welcome it, make it your own, and use it as a stepping stone to move forward. Remember, a no is not the end, it's the beginning of something greater. Each rejection brings you closer to your next success. Once you grasp this, you'll transform the way you handle challenges and setbacks. Share your journey and help us grow. If you've read this far, write in the comments, rejection is part of the journey. I also encourage you to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and leave your thoughts below. This helps YouTube recognize that these videos are valuable to people like you and motivates us to continue creating similar content in the future. Check out the last 2 recommended videos, and remember, your time and support mean the world to me. Thank you, and see you on our next adventure.